All right, most athletes will never even hit one Grand Slam, but my guest today has hit two in the same inning. She's in the NCAA record books, built multiple winning programs from scratch, and now coaches college athletes to reach their full potential. We are all faced with these high pressure moments, but why do some of us rise to the occasion and some of us fall to it? Today, I have Coach Haley Colwell walking us through the moments that have shaped her as an athlete and as a coach, and how you can learn to show up when it matters most. So, Haley, thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for inviting me on the show. I'm super excited to get to chat with you today.
Of course, and athletes, coaches will learn from this, but athletes, there is a lot that you can learn from this woman. So definitely tune in. We're gonna start talking about her athlete journey, and then we'll get into some of the coaching pieces and how you again can kind of learn from some of that success she's also had as a coach. So yeah, Haley, if you want to just start with, as an athlete, you went the JUCO route. What do you feel like that taught you, and how do you feel like that's valuable for these incoming athletes?
So, a little bit about me. I'm from a small high school in Texas. We were 2A at the time. And I grew up on a farm. I showed pigs, I showed animals. I was a multi sport athlete. But the one sport that I played year round was softball. And that was always been like kind of my true north. And my family wasn't very wealthy growing up. So I knew if it was pretty much going to be on me to get me out of my hometown and get me to college. So I just put my nose to the grindstone and worked my tail off in softball and eventually landed on a scholarship opportunity. And during that time as a high school athlete, I will say, I was just the typical, all I wanted to do was sports. I didn't really care about school. But now, in hindsight, looking back and I'm coaching my athletes, grades are important. And I think that I can be a example of that. I was the typical AB student or ABC student sometimes. And, just from an academic piece, it is important to get good grades. But that's kind of why I went the JUCO route leading into, my story is I was from a small school and the JUCO class sizes are very small. Whereas at the 4-year schools, you know, sometimes there's 100 students in an auditorium. So I wanted the small school setting, and I just got the best classroom instruction that way, one-on-one with your professors and things like that. But JUCO was the right route for me because of the class size. It was kind of just like a mini high school in that sense, and you just have your own freedom outside of it. So that's why I went the JUCO route.
Okay, how do you feel like that impacted you as an athlete, like going that route?
Just there's a special place, and I know that you know the term JUCO bandits. There's nothing like being a JUCO bandit, and you get to live across the hallway from your friends. You are probably staying up way too late, doing things that sometimes you're not supposed to be doing, but it's fun and you're making memories. I can't say that we didn't do that at the 4-year, but at the JUCO route, it just was so much different. It's just you're 18, 19 years old. You're experiencing your own adulthood for the first time, and there's a safe space in that because your friends and your teammates are doing that alongside of you. But I will say I chose the JUCO route because classroom size, just being closer to home. And I don't know if you know this, but I actually didn't start off going to JUCO. I actually went to a 4-year and then transferred out because of the academic side. So I started out at West Texas A&M and transferred in mid-semester because I was like, wait, this is kind of too much. Like JUCO's definitely the place where I'm supposed to be. And I ended up having the time of my life based on the academic side of it, not the athletic side. I could compete. It was more of just like the outside stuff.
Okay. And then you eventually got to the back to the 4-year route. What do you feel like helped prepare you to get to the back to that 4-year level and really handle it on the academic side, but also on the performance side too?
I think I just grew and matured, and I got reps at the JUCO level. Whereas some athletes, they are all about the hype of going Division 1, Division 2, even big, awesome NAIA programs in Division 3. It's like those schools still have big roster sizes, and some JUCOs do. However, they tend to carry lower roster sizes. And if you compete hard, like you have a really good shot at least getting a little bit more playing time at the JUCO level than maybe you do at 4 years. So for me, it was just the right move academically and, athletically. Like I just got reps and I improved my GPA. And I just worked my tail off. So it was the perfect opportunity for me to get reps, develop as an athlete and a student in the classroom, and then have the opportunity to go back to the 4 year. And I kind of already realized, like, hey, I was not prepared and ready to go 4 year route. So that's why I transferred to JUCO. And then going back to the the 4 year route, I was like, hey, I already know, like, I can't slack. I know what to expect type thing. Like, I'm going to be in classrooms of like 100 people in auditoriums. I'm going to be in big classes. It was almost like hindsight's 2020, like stepping here and then taking a step back so that you can step forward. That was really, my journey, and I was better for it. And that just leads me to, the two grand slams and one inning. I mean, I couldn't have done that, and I couldn't have been the athlete that I was that junior year without getting reps at the JUCO level, because I played in almost every single game. So, and I think that people miss that piece. Like, playing time does matter, and everybody wants to say like, oh, it's great, not every person gets to be a part of a college team, but at the end of it, there might be a better route for you, going to get playing time and developing as a student athlete where, you develop better.
Yeah. One, it's like there's a physical development side where some have are late bloomers. There's
Yeah.
the, like you're learning new techniques, new methods, the mental side of things. Like there's all those little pieces that get you to that. And I want to ask you about the mental piece of hitting two grand slams in one game, because it's like when we are faced in those situations, there's some people who are able to hit that grand slam and, like get everybody in type of thing. But then there's others who they just really struggle in those kind of moments where, yeah, that's a lot of pressure, whether it be 0 outs or 2 outs. Like there's a lot of pressure in those moments.
Yeah.
So how do you deal with that?
Man, I wish I could tell you, because my parents will probably tell you, and all my coaches growing up, I've just always been that kid that's like, oh, you're going to tell me I can't do something? Watch me do it, and watch me go do it 10 times better than you could even think about doing. And that's just a true testament to who I am. So I think the word that you're looking for is just confidence. And I recruit confident players. Like, I ask players when they come on visits, what is your competitive edge? Why should I like recruit you over another girl that plays your position that has somewhat same skill, grades, etc.? Like, what truly sets you apart? And I'm asking them for their confidence level, because I think that's a crucial piece. If you don't have confidence in yourself when you're up to the bat, and it's the bottom of the seventh, and you should want to be that athlete to hit in that winning run. And I was in those shoes multiple times. Like, I was like, throw me your best pitch, and that's just the mentality that I think you have to have. And a lot of players these days, like, they step into the box scared, they're afraid to make an error. Whereas if you just go and ball out and practice those things and practice and have the intrinsic motivation. Yes, the extrinsic motivation is, I want to win for my team. I want to get this run in for my team. But if you really stand your ground and, have confidence, it's like within you. If you do everything in your power within you, then you're not going to fail. You did your best. And it's like, that's where your self-worth lies, is being 100% and going all in every single time. You can still walk away with not hitting in the run, but you still gave your 100% effort. That's where I feel like athletes get it mixed up these days, is they can't transfer that to the next play. They just want to completely shut down. And it's like, you still did your best. If that's your best, then that's your best.
Yeah.
But going back to that, the confidence piece is a huge piece. So you definitely have to be a confident athlete in the classroom and on the field.
Yeah.
But that's also, like, you can develop that. But I think a lot of times people are just kind of born with it. You can develop it, but, it takes a lot of, it's within you, basically.
Yeah, no, it takes a lot of work. And do you mind? I know some will know the difference, but others may not. Extrinsic versus intrinsic.
Yes, intrinsic is basically, it's self motivation like within you, like in is internal and external is extrinsic, just the two little letters there at the beginning, that's it. But external motivation is extrinsic and intrinsic is internal. So you have to have, obviously external motivation would be hitting in the winning run, or intrinsic would be like your self-worth, like I did the best that I could be. And I think like differentiating those two is something also athletes could like truly, benefit from knowing those things.
Yeah. One, it's like it's also this is kind of tied to it's a little bit different, but one mentor that I listen to a lot is Myron Golden, and he's focused on business, but some of the things he talks about is really important for athletes too. Where one of his phrases is this: be, do, have, and a lot of us lives in this have to do to be. Like we basically
Yeah.
try to do the things, we try to have the things, and
Oh,
then
that's
we'll
so true.
become then we'll become the athlete we're meant to be. It's like no, 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 no. You got to start with inside. You got to work on the inside part of it before you can get the external things happening. Basically,
Right. And I feel like, I've coached a lot of kids, and I know that the true ballers are the ones who have that belief inside of them, and they don't require extrinsic motivation from me or their teammates. It's just within them. That's who they are.
yeah, yeah. So as we talk about the coaching side of things, I want to talk about, because one thing for the listeners who don't know you, you have built up a lot of programs. Like I was looking at, like, okay, you were at this high school, you built up that program. You went to this high school, you built up that, and you like continue to build these. And some of them were like decent teams, some of them not so great teams, and then I think there's one that was like not even a team, and you built it type of thing. And so, what do athletes need to know when it comes to joining those types of teams? Like it can be a challenge if you come from a team that's kind of on the struggle bus. Like how do you navigate that? Or when you join a team that's brand new, how does an athlete navigate that? I know you came in as a coach, but
Yes. So it helps whenever you've done it before as an athlete. I will say that. So my high school, SNS Consolidated High School in Texas, I was a part of the first state championship, first district championship. And then, going to NCTC, like we had made the regional tournament every year, and the programs before us like laid the foundation for that. So that was already ingrained in us. And then when I went to Texas Women's, I was a part of the, first conference championship, like first women's college world series, team. And then when I went to Texas A&M Commerce, like we made the region tournament, for the first time in school history. And it's always just been a part of me. Like I don't know how to explain it. It just has always found me in some sort of way. Like I've always been a part of seasons of first. And so it's ironic that I get to go from these programs as an athlete and lay the foundation for other programs and student athletes to come, and now I'm doing it as a coach. So after I left commerce, I started out at Tioga, and that was a 1A school in little small town in Texas. And we won the district championship there, went to the playoffs for the first time. And then Whitesboro, I met them where they are, and we went to the playoffs, third round, fourth round. And then after that, I went to Amarillo, back up. I went to El Campo, and El Campo had always been a place where softball was successful. Well, we went to the fourth round for the first time in 22 years. And so, back to back district championships. And then when I left there, I went and started a program in Amarillo, and I wasn't afraid to go there and start that program from the ground up because I had already done it, in some sense of fashion, as an athlete and as a coach. So I had intended on being in Amarillo and for a while. However, that leads me to the Northeast job. Northeast has never been to the region tournament, and they've had prior success, but it's still meeting them where this program is and laying the foundation to get to the region tournament. So I've never been afraid of just meeting a program where they are and adding on to the success or building that success. But I think culture and laying the foundation and things like that, just getting things all organized and getting the athletes to buy in, that's a huge piece. When I was a freshmen in high school, we didn't know what we were doing. Culture wasn't talked about. We didn't lift weights. We didn't do any of that. We just had the internal motivation. We were like, hey, we were kind of good, let's just keep playing. And I think like at the root of it, you just have to have fun. You have to have fun and just keep rolling with the wins.
Yeah. So some athletes come into those programs, like we have some that are not too far from me, where it's a baseball team that has 0 to 2 wins for the whole season. Football teams that go 0-11 or 0-12 or whatever. And the athletes who are like really trying to be good, really trying to do their thing, they really struggle in those environments. And some of them will just go on and they'll just be like, okay, well, I'm going to transfer to this school or whatever. But how what can athletes do in those tough situations where the team is nowhere near where it needs to be, and you're like this athlete trying to go D1, play college, etc.
Yeah. I think you have to hold yourself accountable and you have to hold your teammates accountable. You have to do what you can do for your team and for yourself, because softball is a team sport, but it's also pretty individualized with your at bats and things like that. So it reminds me of a conversation that I had with an athlete at El Campo. I was like, hey, we really don't have a 2-hole hitter. You're one of the best hitters on our team. I really need you to step up and do, like hit 2-hole, because we have so and so as leadoff. We'll have you, like, we'll sandwich the 1 and 3 hole pretty much. And when I tell you that this kid took off after I had that one-on-one conversation, she was ignited. She just was like, this is what coach is asking me to do. This is what my team needs from me. I mean, she was dropping bomb after bomb, and it was just a finesse to it. So I would say, just try to have one-on-one conversations with your coach, and athletes, like, ask your coach what they need from you. And I wouldn't come at it, you can, but if my athletes came to me and say, like, what is my role? I would be like, what do you want your role to be? Like, where do you see you fitting in? So I flip it on them, because that just creates buy into what we're doing and how I can help them be successful and develop. So, athletes, if you advocate for yourself with your coach and do what you can with your team, then I think you can't go wrong.
I like that. um this kind of goes backwards a little bit. I meant to ask this before and I really wanted to, because I know a lot of athletes struggle with this. I literally just saw like a video like last week of an athlete who had finished playing their sport. They were done playing, and then there's this challenge, and there's all sorts of posts about this of like, and then there's that fall off, because their identity,
Yeah.
relationship becomes so tied to them playing. And for you, it seems like it was a very short window for you to be able to turn around and start coaching. And that some people might be a coach, some people might do other things. But what's your advice to the athlete who is coming to the end of their athletic career and shifting to the next thing?
So my thoughts on this are, softball is just a piece of you. It's not everything. I know that I am more than a softball coach. I am way more than that. And that's where my self-worth lies, in that. Coaching is what I do for fun and for financial stability for a job. While you're growing up athletes, I think that it's important for you to find something that you're passionate about. Softball can be that. If you want to go into coaching, get your degree in health and human performance, athletic, kinesiology. However, you have to have things outside of softball that kind of fill your cup. For me, that's cycling, working out, reading, hanging with my dog, things like that. But if I didn't have those things, it would be a lonely road if I made my whole entire life softball. But also, leaving the game and stepping into your next career is super exciting. Yeah, you're mourning for the last 6 years, possibly 4 years of your career, but it's also like softball gave you the tools, whether you realize it in the moment or not. And once you get in your career field or the next step in your journey, grad school, etc., you're going to realize, hey, like, I'm resilient. I can do certain things because softball taught me how to be resilient and step up in this role, whether that's having tough conversations with your bosses, or, advocating for more pay for yourself, or asking for more responsibility in your job, that's all goes back to what softball taught you and the conversations that you had with your teammates and your coaches. So softball teaches life lessons. Oftentimes you don't really realize it until it's already over and you get into your career field.
Yeah, I mean that's I've heard something similar to when I had Nick Marrero on the podcast. He's a former baseball college player, and he also went the JUCO route, went that whole process, and he's now working on becoming a lawyer. And it's like those
Oh,
things that he learned as an athlete held or helped him a ton in preparing, doing all the schooling to become a lawyer because that is a long journey as well.
yeah. Yeah,
So
for
yeah.
sure. I think back all the time in grad school because when I was in grad school, I was teaching coaching full time, but I was also working on the professional side with to up my game as a coach, in grad school. But it's just different. I can't explain it. Being on this side of the game is just so much different as an athlete, but as a coach, I feel like I can resonate with these players because I've been in their shoes and I am not too far removed of the game with remembering how it felt, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense for sure. So we talked a lot about mindset. I want to talk a little bit more about training, especially because you do have the kinesiology background and some of that foundation. So, I know one of the things that you're big on is, I mean, strength training or just like in general training. But I also know that you're big on like, hey, you didn't always have all these resources to be able to,
Yeah.
with your athletes. And so speaking to the athletes who don't have a lot of resources, I get told all the time, well, I live 20 minutes away driving to a gym and I don't have a car. Or,
Yeah.
like I have a couple dumbbells, like those types of things. Like how do you navigate that as an athlete?
So it takes me back to the time of COVID when I was teaching and coaching at Whitesboro High School, and we were softball season got stripped from us. We didn't have weight room. We couldn't go to school, nothing. And so our string coach at the time, all the head coaches would pop on a Zoom. And for any athlete that wanted to get in on a workout, it was just an at home workout. So, I mean, just he would run the workouts. We would all do it together. And we didn't have weights. Some of us had weights. Some of us had backpacks full of bricks. Like the kids got creative. They used books for hip thrust and all kinds of stuff that you wouldn't think of. So, in my eyes, like, yes, it's hard when you don't have the real weights, but you can go for a jog. You can find a hill to do some uphill sprints. I mean, like, you can do lunges. There's things outside that you can use. Like, some of our kids used water jugs, like milk jugs, and they filled them with water for, like just squats or literally anything that you can load your body with. So there are ways. You just have to kind of think outside the box on it, but also tread lightly so you don't get hurt.
Yeah, that's fair. I know because
I had to
sometimes
put
you're like,
that in.
oh, let me just go for like the $5. I can
Don't
do
be
five
lifting a
bucks.
car or anything like that. Like,
Yeah, definitely not a car. And then what are some other big things or what are some big things in general that you feel like athletes are really lacking on the development side of things?
so in the world of strength and conditioning, I think there's not enough of it. There's so many things that go into development as an athlete, and I think skill wise the kids are just playing year round. There's no real time off, and I think I'm here to tell you, like, it's okay to take a month off. You're not gonna get worse. Your body actually needs time off. If you're not putting your phone on do not disturb at a certain time, you should probably start doing that. And eating better, there's little things that you can do and try to get your parents on board having the resources with eating better, like, as you know. But sleep and I would say rest are very important, and I think athletes miss out on the recovery piece of it because they're not recovering the way that they need to adequately. So sleep, put your phone on do not disturb, athletes, and really just like work on breathing techniques and things like that.
Mhm.
But I think recovery is a huge piece that's oftentimes missed out because the parents and the athletes just think play, 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 whereas your body would actually benefit more if you recovered and took some time off. It's okay to take a month off.
Mhm. That's good. I like that. Yeah, I mean, it's such a culture now because everyone wants you to be on their travel team or do their tournaments or do this showcase. Like, it's just constant. Yeah. And especially, I feel like in baseball, I see it a lot in basketball. Soccer is another big one. Yeah, like a lot of those where it's just constant go, 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 go. And it's like, all right, y'all.
Yeah. Well, and I think like sometimes people also forget that strength training is actually injury prevention. And so if you're not sleeping well, hydrating well, eating well, and you're not even strength training, you're actually prone to higher chance of injury, of injuring yourself. If you just play all the time and you're not even just strength training one or two, three times a week, you're gonna get injured. It's only a matter of time. Start slow. Athletes, start slow. Start putting your phone on do not disturb. Start trying to hydrate better. Start trying to eat better, and get yourself a trainer. Go to your high school coach. Reach out to somebody. Email me, I'll help you. Just try to put load on your muscles so that they can perform better,
Yeah.
not get you injured.
Yeah. I don't drink caffeine at 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah, I can't deal with the energy drinks. I can't do it.
Yeah, I spoke to a high school softball team last. Was it? It was last spring, and yeah, no, there was multiple of them that were drinking. Yeah, there was like the energy drinks in the morning, and then a little bit in the later. And I'm actually working with an athlete now, a soccer player, who same thing. She was drinking like two, three, and some of them were like a pre workout because they're like, oh yeah, pre workout caffeine. And it's like, yeah, pre workout caffeine at 4 o'clock is not long term is not helping you. It might help you in the
Yeah,
next night 60 minutes, but it's not going to help you in the long game.
there was a time where there was an energy drink in my dugout, and one of the athletes had it like sitting on the ledge. And I think that it was just one of those things where they didn't think that I was going to see it. And so I just picked it up and it was all full. And I was like, whose is this? And nobody said a word. And I just like, I just dumped it all out. And I was like, nope, we're not doing the energy drinks today. Like, nope, you know better. So I just pour them out. I don't care.
That's bold. That's good. That's good. That's. I feel like coaches need to do that with some of the McDonald's and some of the other things we see too.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Like I don't even remember the last time I ate at McDonald's.
Hmm.
I try to tell my athletes in the dorms like there you can have a crock pot in the dorms, and I know a lot of my girls just throw things in the crock pot, and some of the other girls were kind of skeptical. They're like, "Ew, crock pot." And then once they eat it, they're like, "Oh man, this slaps. This is so good." And so just it only takes one kid who has the crock pot, and then the whole team is like, "Man, I want a crock pot."
Yeah.
But just little meals like that, I mean, the calf is trash food, anyways, with the fake powdered eggs these days. I mean, I don't even know.
Or liquidate.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so as we wrap up, so pretty much everything that has been shared today, even though you tend to speak more to softball players, everything can really be applied to any athlete. I want to shift for this last question and give it more open ended for you because I know you speak to a lot of female athletes, whether it be softball or in general. What are the things that for those athletes, those female athletes who are really trying to play at the college level, what do you feel like they need to hear?
I definitely think I want to hit on the strength training, the recovery, the sleep, the hydration, the eating better. Because if you don't have those things, then you can't perform at optimal performance, right? So you really need to start implementing habits, habit trackers, and things like that, where you can set those things into motion during the week. And then focus on the developmental side. Okay, season just got done. I need to take some time off. Mom, dad, I need to take some time off just to recover and just to be a kid. Sometimes I think that sports tend to be a business, but at the heart of it, like these are still kids. You still need to find things outside of softball that really drives you and that you're passionate about, whether that's, going to the animal shelter once a month and volunteering, just finding something else that you're passionate about is going to be super important just for lifelong. And then also I would just work on the way that you talk to yourself, like your self-confidence. And if you have like a negative thought that like comes to your brain, build yourself back up with two or three positive thoughts. That way it's not constant negative self-talk. If you step in the batter's box or on the court, anything, if you're telling yourself, okay, don't swing at this pitch, 99% of the time you're going to swing at that pitch. So it's just work on your positive self-talk, the way that you think and the way that you listen to people say things, and continuously build people up. Just try to create this umbrella of wholesomeness within yourself and who you are as a person, and then also as an athlete and a teammate.
There's a lot of good stuff. I mean, you just hit on so many different. I mean, number one, the confidence piece, and a lot of those that you talk about in general with, again, your experience, but then, with the education background you have, is the strength and the recovery. But then I like how you talk about also how you speak to yourself, how you speak with others. Like those are all key things, not just as an athlete, but if you want to be a successful human, like these are
Yeah,
required. So I
yeah,
really really like
it's way more than softball. Like it's way more than softball. Softball is just something that you do, something that you play for fun, and at the end of the day, like you're not going to be a softball player at some point, so you have to fill your cup in other areas.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Well, Haley, thanks so much for hopping on today. It was a lot of good stuff. I know the athletes, male and female, can definitely apply.
Yeah, thanks, Nick. I had fun. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. And then for listeners, if you guys enjoy the podcast, remember the best way for others to benefit from it is for you to actually share it with them. So, like, subscribe, share this, and as always, keep striving for greatness.